Lying. It's a shadow that's followed humanity since the beginning of time. From harmless white lies to calculated deception, dishonesty weaves its way into our daily lives, often in ways we least expect. What makes it even harder is when it comes from those closest to us, shaking the very foundation of trust that binds relationships. But here's the thing. Recognizing lies isn't about cynicism or paranoia. It's about clarity, wisdom, and resilience. As the Stoics teach us, truth is not just a virtue. It's a shield against the chaos of deceit. In this video, we'll delve into the subtle art of spotting dishonesty, uncovering 7 telltale signs of lying. With practical examples and Stoic insights, you'll not only recognize dishonesty, but also learn to navigate it with calm and clarity. So, get ready to transform the way you approach trust and truth in your life. And hey, if you're on a journey to better yourself and embrace wisdom, hit that subscribe button, join our growing community, and let's walk this path together. 1. Quick to change the subject. A telltale sign of dishonesty often lies in the subtle ways people steer conversations. Picture this. You're discussing a pressing issue, perhaps something unresolved that's been weighing on your mind. Suddenly, the topic takes an unexpected detour to something completely trivial: dinner plans, a random social media post, or even the weather. It may seem innocent at first, but this sudden shift isn't mere distraction. It's a deliberate act of avoidance. I recall a personal experience during a past relationship. Discussions about the future were always met with a peculiar kind of deflection. Whenever I tried to talk about where we'd be in a year or how we'd handle long-term commitments, the response was often a pivot to something irrelevant. "Oh, did you see that funny meme today?" Or, "We should try that new restaurant." At first, I brushed it off, assuming it was nervousness or a quirky conversational style. But over time, a pattern emerged. The avoidance wasn't incidental, it was intentional, signaling a reluctance to face responsibilities or make genuine commitments. This behavior might feel subtle, even benign, but the Stoics would urge us to see through the veneer. Marcus Aurelius famously advises us to face the truth, no matter how uncomfortable. It's a principle rooted in courage and self-honesty, qualities essential not only for our personal growth, but also for building meaningful relationships. When faced with such situations, it's vital to remain grounded and bring the discussion back to the core issue. This doesn't mean being confrontational, but rather adopting a calm and firm demeanor. Say, for instance, "I understand we can discuss dinner later, but I feel it's important to address this now." If the person truly values the relationship, they'll acknowledge your effort to seek clarity and reciprocate with honesty. Avoiding difficult conversations doesn't preserve peace, it erodes trust. Each deflection becomes a crack in the foundation of the relationship, making it harder to build a connection rooted in authenticity. By practicing openness and encouraging the same in others, we not only embody Stoic resilience, but also foster bonds that withstand the trials of life. 2. Listening to respond, not to understand. In our daily interactions, one subtle yet revealing behavior is when someone listens not to understand, but merely to craft their response. This kind of listening often signals insincerity or hidden motives. When someone isn't fully present in the conversation, when their eyes flicker with distraction or their responses feel hurried, they might be concealing something they'd rather not address. I recall an experience with a colleague who exhibited this very behavior. During meetings, I'd raise genuine concerns or propose ideas, only to notice they seemed preoccupied. Instead of engaging directly or providing thoughtful feedback, their responses were scattered and often shifted to unrelated topics. It felt as though they weren't truly listening but rather biding time, crafting a narrative to avoid scrutiny. Later, it came to light that they'd been deflecting to cover up mistakes in their work, hoping to divert attention away from their accountability. Such interactions can be frustrating, even disheartening. When people fail to listen deeply, they miss the opportunity to connect authentically. As Stoics, we are reminded by Epictetus to first learn to listen, and only then form your words. True listening requires presence, empathy, and the humility to fully grasp what is being shared before responding. To navigate these situations, start by cultivating active listening within yourself. Pay attention not just to words, but also to tone, body language, and unspoken emotions. When you model genuine engagement, it sets a standard for how others should interact with you. In contrast, insincere listeners often betray themselves through surface-level responses, vague affirmations, or a tendency to steer the conversation away from depth. When you encounter someone who listens poorly or appears disengaged, try gently redirecting the dialogue. You might say, "I feel this is important to discuss fully. What are your thoughts on this?" This approach not only challenges them to engage more meaningfully, but also reinforces the importance of honesty and accountability in the interaction. Active listening is more than a skill. It's a reflection of integrity and respect. By striving to listen deeply and encouraging others to do the same, we align with the Stoic principle of living authentically and fostering genuine connections. And in doing so, we uncover the truths that lie beneath the surface, strengthening our relationships and our character. 3. Defensiveness without cause. Have you ever asked a straightforward question, only to be met with an unexpectedly defensive reaction? A simple inquiry, meant to clarify or check progress, can sometimes spark a cascade of justifications or even accusations. This kind of overreaction often reveals more than the person intends. While honest individuals respond calmly and directly, those who feel the need to over-explain or become defensive may be grappling with guilt or insecurity. I remember a situation during a group project that vividly illustrated this. I casually asked a teammate about their progress on a specific task. Instead of providing a simple update, they lashed out, "Why do you always think I'm slacking off? I've been working harder than anyone here." Their tone was charged, their words overflowing with justification. At first, I was taken aback, wondering if I'd unintentionally offended them. But as the project unfolded, the truth emerged. They hadn't completed their part and were using defensiveness as a shield to deflect accountability. Such reactions, while frustrating, are deeply human. Defensiveness often stems from a place of insecurity or fear of judgment. As Epictetus reminds us, "He who is not guilty has nothing to fear." This Stoic principle encourages us to reflect on our own responses and those of others. Why does a simple question provoke such intensity? What underlying truths might this reaction reveal? Rather than reacting with equal defensiveness or frustration, the Stoic approach is to remain calm and curious. When faced with an overreaction, avoid accusations that may escalate the tension. Instead, pose gentle follow-up questions that encourage openness. For example, you might say, "I didn't mean to imply anything negative. I'm just curious about how things are going. Can you share more?" This not only diffuses the situation, but also creates a space where honesty feels less threatening. Defensiveness, when observed mindfully, can become a window into someone's internal struggles. By approaching such moments with patience and a willingness to understand, we embody the Stoic values of compassion and reason. In doing so, we not only uncover the truth, but also strengthen our own resilience, refusing to be swayed by the emotional turbulence of others. 4. Over-polished details. Life, as we all know, is inherently messy. Its twists and turns rarely conform to a perfect script. Yet, when someone tells a story that feels over-polished, every detail fitting together too neatly, like a scene from a movie, it can be a red flag for fabrication. While genuine experiences often come with gaps, contradictions, or a touch of chaos, a meticulously crafted narrative may signal an attempt to conceal the truth. I recall a time when a friend shared what seemed like an extraordinary tale about closing a high-stakes business deal. Their account was vividly cinematic, complete with a breathtaking skyline view, intense negotiations, and dramatic, last-minute gestures of triumph. It was the kind of story that could inspire admiration or skepticism. Something about its seamlessness felt too good to be true. Later, I learned they'd embellished most of it, weaving fiction into fact to impress the group and bolster their image. This tendency to over-polish details often stems from insecurity. As Seneca once observed, truth has no need for ornamentation. Real stories, grounded in truth, carry their own charm, even with their imperfections. In contrast, lies often buckle under scrutiny because their foundations are contrived. When you encounter such overly polished tales, adopt a Stoic approach. Stay composed and curious. Instead of immediately doubting the person, ask clarifying questions to better understand their perspective. For instance, "That sounds fascinating. Could you tell me more about how it unfolded?" Such questions not only test the story's authenticity, but also encourage a more genuine connection. Honest individuals will engage openly, filling in the messy gaps without hesitation. Liars, however, may falter, struggle to maintain consistency, or avoid answering altogether. Recognizing these signs isn't about catching someone in a lie for the sake of it. It's about cultivating discernment, a quality highly valued in Stoic philosophy. By learning to see through facades and embracing the reality of imperfection, we strengthen our own alignment with truth. Real stories, like life itself, don't need to be flawless to hold value. They just need to be honest. 5. Body turned away. In conversations, words often tell one story, while the body tells another. Subtle shifts in body language, like angling away or avoiding direct alignment, can speak volumes about a person's inner state. It's as if their subconscious mind is expressing discomfort or avoidance, even when their words don't reveal it outright. I recall a time when a friend's posture caught my attention during serious discussions. Whenever we talked about weighty matters, whether it was personal struggles or shared responsibilities, they would gradually angle their body away, almost imperceptibly. At first, I chalked it up to a mere quirk, a habit without meaning. But over time, I realized this shift wasn't random. It was a subtle expression of unease. Eventually, I discovered they'd been struggling with significant financial troubles and hadn't felt ready to open up about them. Their body had betrayed their discomfort long before their words did. These cues, though often subtle, are invaluable. Marcus Aurelius reminds us to observe others, but do so without judgment. Stoicism teaches us to approach such signs with curiosity and compassion rather than suspicion or confrontation. When we notice someone turning away, physically or emotionally, it's an opportunity to deepen understanding rather than create distance. If you observe this kind of behavior, respond thoughtfully. Instead of addressing the body language directly, create a space for open communication. You might say, "I sense something might be on your mind. Would you like to share?" This not only acknowledges their unease, but also invites trust and connection. Sometimes, just offering a patient, non-judgmental ear is enough to help them feel safe to open up. Paying attention to body alignment doesn't mean overanalyzing every gesture. It's about being attuned to the energy and dynamics of the conversation. While words can be rehearsed or carefully chosen, body language is often raw and unfiltered, making it a reliable guide to what's left unsaid. By integrating this awareness into our interactions, we practice a key Stoic principle, navigating relationships with wisdom and empathy. Addressing underlying issues with care not only fosters deeper bonds, but also reinforces our commitment to truth and integrity in every connection we make. 6. Laughing off serious topics. Humor can be a beautiful tool, capable of easing tension and bringing people closer. But like any tool, it can be misused. When someone consistently laughs off meaningful topics or responds to serious conversations with jokes, it's often more than lightheartedness. It's a way of avoiding vulnerability or deflecting accountability. I recall this pattern vividly in a past relationship. Whenever I tried to bring up important issues, whether it was about shared goals or emotional needs, the response was often laughter. "Oh, you're overthinking again." They'd chuckle, or they'd deflect with a witty comment meant to steer the conversation elsewhere. At first, I appreciated the levity, thinking it was their way of staying positive. But as time went on, I realized this humor wasn't a bridge, it was a wall. It became clear that the laughter wasn't about diffusing tension, but rather dismissing the gravity of the issues at hand. This kind of behavior is a subtle form of avoidance. As Epictetus teaches us, it is not events that disturb us, but the judgments we bring to them. Avoiding meaningful discussions, even under the guise of humor, reflects a deeper discomfort with facing life's challenges head-on. True connection, whether in relationships or conversations, requires the courage to confront discomfort rather than retreat behind jokes. When faced with this pattern, approach it with understanding but also firmness. Instead of letting humor derail the conversation, gently redirect it back to the core issue. You might say, "I appreciate your humor, but this is something I really need to discuss seriously. Can we take a moment to focus on this?" This approach acknowledges their style of communication while setting a boundary that values honesty and engagement. It's also important to reflect on your own reactions. Are you allowing humor to shift the focus because it's easier than pushing for depth? Stoicism calls on us to be both patient and persistent, recognizing that meaningful connections often require navigating uncomfortable moments with clarity and compassion. Ultimately, humor and seriousness can coexist, but not at the expense of authenticity. If someone consistently uses laughter to avoid serious topics, it may signal their reluctance to engage fully. True relationships and true personal growth are built on the willingness to face life's complexities together, without turning away or masking discomfort with a joke. 7. Vagueness when pressed for specifics. Of all the tactics liars use to shield themselves, ambiguity is perhaps the most revealing. When someone is pressed for details but responds with evasive or non-committal answers, it's often a sign they're avoiding the scrutiny that clarity brings. Specifics anchor a story in reality, but vagueness keeps it floating in the realm of fabrication, safe from being disproven. I remember a colleague who frequently bragged about closing major deals. Their stories were peppered with impressive-sounding phrases but lacked concrete details. Curious, I once asked about the companies involved or the outcomes of these deals. Their response was a dance of generalities, phrases like, "Oh, it's all still in progress," or "The numbers are confidential for now." At first, I thought they might simply be protective of sensitive information, but over time, it became clear there were no deals. It was all a facade designed to impress, but not withstand scrutiny. This behavior doesn't just erode trust, it undermines the fabric of meaningful communication. Seneca wisely observed, "Clarity is the foundation of truth. Without specifics, words lose their weight, and relationships built on such shaky ground are bound to falter." In situations where you sense vagueness, approach it with a stoic mindset. Remain calm, curious, and discerning, rather than accusing outright. Ask gentle but probing questions that require specifics. For instance, you might say, "That sounds intriguing. Could you share an example?" Or, "What steps did you take to make it happen?" Honest individuals will appreciate the chance to elaborate, while those spinning tales may stumble or deflect further. It's equally important to trust your instincts. If repeated attempts to gain clarity are met with more ambiguity, it's worth considering whether the person's intentions align with truth. Stoicism teaches us to value honesty, not just in others, but in our own actions and judgments. By prioritizing clarity, we ensure that our relationships and interactions remain grounded in authenticity. Vagueness, when left unchecked, can sow seeds of doubt and disconnection. Yet by practicing discernment and seeking truth with patience, we not only safeguard our integrity but also foster deeper, more genuine connections with those willing to meet us in the realm of honesty. Integrating Stoic philosophy. Integrating Stoic philosophy into our understanding of truth and deception offers us both a compass and a shield in navigating human relationships. Stoicism doesn't merely equip us to detect dishonesty. It teaches us to confront it with grace and integrity. The path of truth is not always comfortable, but it is the foundation of meaningful connections and personal growth. Resilience, a core Stoic principle, reminds us to accept the reality of dishonesty without becoming embittered. People will sometimes lie out of fear, insecurity, or selfishness. Marcus Aurelius counsels us to meet adversity with reason and composure. Recognizing deceit should not lead to cynicism but to understanding. By accepting the imperfections of others, we preserve our faith in humanity and maintain our inner tranquility. It's about acknowledging flaws without letting them erode our belief in the potential for goodness. Clarity, another Stoic virtue, demands that we seek understanding and hold ourselves to high standards of communication. When faced with ambiguity or dishonesty, we should strive to illuminate rather than obscure. As Seneca notes, words that fail to convey the truth are a betrayal of both the speaker and the listener. In our conversations, clarity fosters trust by asking thoughtful questions and maintaining transparency in our own communication. We set a tone that encourages openness and discourages deceit. Accountability ties these principles together. To foster honesty in others, we must lead by example. This means aligning our actions with our values, even when it's inconvenient. Epictetus teaches that a good character is the only guarantee of everlasting, carefree happiness. By embodying truthfulness, we inspire others to do the same. Whether it's admitting a mistake, addressing a sensitive topic, or confronting dishonesty with compassion, our commitment to accountability strengthens the integrity of our relationships. Integrating these Stoic principles, resilience, clarity, and accountability, into our lives creates a framework for navigating both truth and falsehood with wisdom. Rather than becoming preoccupied with detecting lies, focus on cultivating authenticity in yourself and encouraging it in those around you. In doing so, you transform challenges into opportunities for growth, embodying the Stoic ideal of living a virtuous and meaningful life. Lies rarely announce themselves with fanfare. Instead, they creep in through half-truths, deflections, and over-polished stories, testing the bonds of trust in our lives. But armed with the wisdom of Stoic philosophy, you can face these challenges with confidence, compassion, and clarity. Detecting dishonesty isn't about creating conflict, it's about fostering honesty and nurturing genuine connections. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, truth remains, even when hidden. Let that guide you as you seek not just to expose lies, but to live a life aligned with integrity and wisdom. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And for more empowering content on Stoicism and personal growth, subscribe to our channel. Together, we'll build a life rooted in truth, resilience, and meaning. See you in the next video.